It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Breakfast as we cover the very latest in property news every morning. Of course, you will find us on iHeartRadio, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And it's a Tuesday morning, Feb the 6th today. Of course, today the RBA is making their first rate announcement. A little bit later on this afternoon, Anthony Landell is going to be here to let you and I know the instant that the RBA announces what they are planning on doing for this month. Now, I've got to say, I would be completely and utterly shocked if they increased the cash rate today. Surely it is not likely to happen based off the latest numbers. If they did raise it today, it would raise more than just a few eyebrows. So we will bring you that later on this afternoon, the first announcement for 2024 from the RBA. Well, this morning we are off to Perth to talk to Nikki Gogan. She is a partner from CY Property. And Nikki, welcome to the Real Estate Breakfast this morning.
Good morning, Craig. Thanks so much for having me.
Great to have you on. So you were telling me off air that you have been doing real estate almost 20 years. I tell you, this is a great way to start in real estate. You started working in a reception office for real estate at the age of 15.
That's right. One of my first jobs on a Saturday morning was in my local real estate agency. It was just a 9 till 12 every Saturday and loved it. Got into real estate and haven't looked back from there.
If you're 14, 15 years old and you're thinking you want to be entrepreneurial, you want to sort of get that portfolio, that's the way to do it. Nikki is giving you a great piece of advice. Get in there and do some reception work, because the thing is that being at front desk, you do observe everything, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. And and that's exactly what I did. I observed. I did have a small little year or 18 months in property management and started selling not long after that.
And there you were in a country location somewhere in WA. You were there for 11 years selling real estate. So where was that?
In Northam. It's a little country town about an hour east of the city, Perth City. So I started at 15, started selling when I was 19, and I had 11 years there before moving to Fremantle, where I am now, some 7 years ago.
But, Nikki, we also did something a little bit off the rails, didn't we? Going back a few years ago, you were a bachelor. Tell us about that.
I was. I decided to go on The Bachelor, have a little adventure partway between my country to city move. I don't know if that is actually what brought it about, Craig, but I was a contestant some 8 years ago now. What an adventure.
Yeah. So what was the main takeaway from being a contestant?
The main takeaway was that I was probably very naive. Growing up in the country, I hadn't really experienced the big city. I had 3 months in Sydney and had an amazing time, but ultimately got back to my country town and spent some more time there. I was there for about a year, sort of wrapping things up before I moved to Fremantle, where I am now.
And you were telling me that you didn't find love on The Bachelor and it came afterwards.
It did. So I had a great time on the show, once in a lifetime experience, and then made the move from the country to the city. And it was in Fremantle that I met my now partner. So very happy to report that I eventually found love.
And what's your partner's first name?
His name's Bill.
Good morning to you, Bill. All right, so the latest Domain house price report, now it reveals that Perth, including Fremantle, is one of the two capital cities where house prices are at a record high, and the other, of course, being Adelaide. Now, Fremantle, what a spot at the junction of the Swan River and the Indian Ocean. If you bought there 8 or 9 years ago and thought that maybe you overpaid, you didn't. A very desirable location to own property. And Nikki, you know this only too well. So what is it that makes this a favourite destination, do you think?
Yeah, look, it's Fremantle's a port city. Obviously, I was drawn to it. Haven't lived here my whole life, but some 6 or 7 years I've spent in the port city, and it's so unique. So many different personalities, different people are drawn to the city for different reasons. But art, culture, seaside, riverside living, it's a really special place.
All right, so that is Nikki. We'll come back to Nikki in just a moment, and we'll talk more about Perth, more about Fremantle after this.
If you're confused about the property market, don't be. Unlock and educate yourself with the latest trending analysis and interviews.
Hey, good morning, Tessa and Nathan in Parramatta. We got your email. You are both young millennials working flat out saving for your first home. Great to have you both as listeners and really appreciate you spending the time just to sit down and send us an email. We love to get your emails, and our email address is myrealestatepodcast@gmail.com. That is myrealestatepodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what your situation is. Right, let's go to the Gold Coast right now and catch up with one of the Joes with another real estate property tip.
Hi Craig, Jo Lynch here of the Jo and Jo sales team. My tip is all around expressions of interest for buyers. Any buyers who come across EOI or expressions of interest, we're using it a lot here on the Gold Coast. First of all, ask the agent for a price guide or comparable sales. And then after you view the property, make an offer where you see value. It may be below or above that price guide, but if you've made a written offer at any level, a good agent will keep in high communication with you and give you every opportunity to secure the property. So don't scroll past expressions of interest. Pick up the phone to the agent. You know, we actually work harder when we don't price a property because we need to answer more of your phone calls and inquiries.
Explore new property destinations where you could live with exclusive interviews covering real estate news and market insights.
And it's a Real Estate Tuesday, and we are back in Perth with Nikki Gogan, a partner from Cape Horn Young Estate Agents. And before the break, we were talking about the reasons why somebody might decide to buy and live in Fremantle. A relaxed lifestyle is certainly front of mind. And Nikki, just having a look at some of the prices, the median house prices for the city of Fremantle. So what are they? What are they doing at the moment?
Yeah, Fremantle's continuing to perform, Craig. So over an extended period of time, we've had growth and, indicators are that will continue. So in the city of Fremantle, if we're talking Fremantle and out of area suburbs, it's a large area. We're 32,000 in the city of Freo. The median price for that coastal position, you're looking 1.1 to 1.2 million being the median home price for properties in North Fremantle.
And what about East Fremantle? Is that sitting around 1.4?
Yeah, East Fremantle is actually its own little town and doesn't include, it's not actually under that City of Freo banner. So East Fremantle's the town of East Fremantle. It's one of the smallest towns in WA, and 1.41 is the median house price in East Fremantle. Well and truly performing there.
Yeah, for sure. So how has your year for 2024, how has it started for you there in Perth?
So, Craig, I think January, with our beautiful position, beautiful weather that I understand the rest of Australia is jealous of. It's a little bit sleepy in the first part of January. A lot of families, have time off and recharge during the January holidays. But definitely towards the second part of January, the market's kicked in. The weekend that's just gone has been one of the busiest that I've experienced, and we've well and truly kicked into 2024. And again, the indicators are that that's just going to continue throughout this year.
Now, we know that the investors, they have been, my goodness, very, very busy, pretty active in your market. So for those investors listening to The Breakfast right now and looking at the numbers, the yields, the potential capital growth, What are a few reasons for those investors who might be in, let's say, a Sydney or a Melbourne, thinking on investing in Brisbane or even the Sunshine Coast or Adelaide right now? Why should they stop and seriously think about the Perth property market from an investment point of view?
Yeah, so Craig, there's definitely some investors that are aware of our beautiful city and what we have to offer, because there's a number of agents that, I speak with that are continuing to report sight unseen offers from Queensland, Melbourne, Sydney investors. So they're hearing about it and they're coming to WA. Out of area suburbs, there's still a number of areas where you can buy good quality family homes in that sort of $400,000-$500,000 range. And then the rental yields that'll go with that are very attractive, and the numbers stack up when compared to similar price properties in other states. So I think some people know about it. It's a great place to be. I think the growth is there. As I mentioned, we talk about WA and Adelaide continuing to perform as a part of the whole city, the whole area. Again, the indicators are that it will only continue throughout 2024.
Now, for people, Nikki, that haven't been to Perth, can you explain a little bit about the difference between the north and the south when it comes to the real estate market there?
Yeah, sure. So that's sort of like a local inside joke, I think. Really interesting. We've got the Swan River that sort of wraps in the middle of our beautiful city here. The locals will joke about being you're a north person or you're a south person. So they are different locations. WA is quite spread out. Wouldn't be unusual that if you've got friends up north, and I say that in inverted commas, you might only see them a couple of times a year because you sort of don't. For me, being in Fremantle, I won't venture out of my little area. There's too much to offer here. Great restaurants, great nightlife, great food, great drink. So you wouldn't leave here to then go to somewhere like Scarborough, which is probably equally as good, attractive on the coast and beautiful restaurant offerings, but seems so far away for us in the West.
You've just picked yourself a fight with Scarborough, haven't you? I think you have.
Possibly.
Whoops. What about migration?
Whoopsie.
Let's quickly divert to migration. So still coming in, aren't they, in terms of the numbers?
Definitely, yeah. So chatting to our PM team, just the numbers continuing to come in, the amount of applications, the amount of interstate calls, overseas calls, assistance with relocation companies. That's certainly happening. It's been happening for some time. And again, there's no signs of slowing down there.
All right, well, I'll let you get on with it. No doubt you've got a busy Tuesday. We'll wait and see what the RBA has got to say for themselves a little bit later on this afternoon. And thanks for coming on to the Real Estate Breakfast this morning.
Appreciate your time, Craig. Thanks so much.
Don't navigate the real estate market alone. Let us help guide you in the world of real estate every day. Make better informed decisions with the latest news and insights.
You are telling me that you're off to a pretty positive start there in Canberra.
Yeah, 2024, it's only early days, but so far everything we've put in the market we've sold within about 4 or 5 days of actually being on the market. We haven't had an auction yet because everything we've had in the market has sold pre-auction within a week. We're also seeing a lot of migration to Canberra, seeing the buyers that are coming through open homes. There's fresh faces that are coming into Canberra at the moment.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.